was up. Now, when the boss of a UK company says we're going to be the next billion-dollar startup, it's time to cue weary groans from everyone who can remember the dot-com boom and bust of a few years ago. But maybe, just maybe, this one might be different. Paul Mason has been following the progress of SpinVox, a UK startup company, to find out what it's like to raise and spend £30 million of someone else's money.
When someone told me you're not going to raise £30 million and someone said to me, we don't really want our voicemail as a text message, or you're never going to get voice to screen to work properly, you're never going to make it scalable, those nevers, just turn them around.
In 2003, Christina Domek had an idea. Like all inventions, it was born out of necessity.
I had 14 voicemails coming in and realized that 14 voicemails was just, I was unable to deal with them. So they were coming through, I had to stop the car, pull it over, write down the message, you know, the typical thing we all experience with voicemail, and listen 2 or 3 times, dial back. While the network operators and carriers were happy about that, it pissed me off.
The idea was to invent a technology that turned voicemail into text. She turned to Daniel Doulton, a software engineer, and they quickly realized there was a gap in the market.
I immediately set about trying to start building this idea I had for the system, which said, no, it's not the classic way of solving it. It's a systems problem, not a specific speech rec problem, oddly enough. And we built a prototype system, and sure enough, got surprisingly promising results, and were able to demonstrate within 3 months that actually, for a few hundred people, we could run a very robust, simple service.
They founded SpinVox, a UK startup company that has raised £30 million in venture capital and grown from 30 people to 220 in a year. It's a real-life version of what people who get on Dragon's Den dream about.
We raised £500,000 first. Some amazing angel investors backed us in the beginning with £500,000, and that £500,000 was the hardest money I've ever raised in my life.
It's harder to raise early-stage capital in London than in Silicon Valley. Venture capitalist Julie Mayer, a veteran of the dot-com boom, runs a fund that put money into SpinVox.
I could understand the application. I said, yeah, no, I don't like to listen to voicemails. I can understand why there would be a benefit to be able to receive them as text messages. So I could get what they were trying to do. I bought into the entrepreneur. And then as an investment opportunity, which is different than building a great business, I could see a lot of people that would be interested if she was able to execute her vision, which she is doing very well, that a lot of people would be interested in buying SpinVox and adding it into their roadmap.
Venture capitalists typically expect what they call a 10x return. That's 10 times their money back.
I think there certainly is a problem with enough venture money in the UK by virtue of the size of the UK and the number of high-risk investors here in the UK. There absolutely is a shortage. But the reality is, if you have a simple idea, a simple product concept, and you've got a marketplace, there are backers in the UK who want to back you.
One big investor was the owner of Carphone Warehouse, who allowed individual customers to sign up to SpinVox. But to make their money back, the venture capitalists need SpinVox to have bigger customers, the mobile phone operators.
Customer churn, customer loyalty is a fantastically bad issue for those operators. They need to keep people loyal and keep them using more and more of the services that are available. Now, in order to do that, they can't just try and charge more money. Charging more money eventually puts people off. You have to deliver something that people actually want to use.
I don't know if I like the blue shirt.
And Christina's job is to sell SpinVox as the solution. For all its dot-com wackiness, the company now has to move in a world of big, scary, global telecoms companies.
SpinVox need to be able to link the technology and the abilities of the technology to the needs of the operator, which is to keep customers loyal and for them to grow their revenues. If they can get that understanding in the operators' minds, then the operators will recognise that this is a service that can truly add value to them, and therefore they can promote it to customers.
And if they don't?
If they don't, then it's just another cool technology.
This is where it gets complicated. It's March and Christina is at a mobile phone trade fair in Florida. She's done one big deal with a company called Cincinnati Bell, but she needs to do many more.
And so I can go ahead and click on it and dial back and call him immediately. So this is the actual voicemail he left. Or I can go and listen to the original.
That's so cool.
And here's the risk for SpinVox. The big IT companies like Google and Microsoft are moving into mobile telecoms. Microsoft has just bought another voice recognition company, and the whole market she's trying to muscle in on is changing fast.
But the challenge is picking the right markets, because we can spend a lot of energy and time trying to get, for instance, spoken instant messaging to work really well, but it may not be the right market. So it's very easy to design what you think is good and go there, but completely miss where the market really wants to go. That's my risk. That's what keeps me awake at night.
SpinVox is based in Marlow in the Thames Valley. Its next phase of growth will be critical because the contracts it's signed all over the world actually now have to be delivered. And for Christina, that's uncharted territory.
What makes me nervous is not the commercial side, it's the operational deployment. This is an enormous, enormous challenge. The market is crying out for it. Network operators have said they want it. We're signing the contracts. Now I've got to deliver.
You can feel the slow culture shock spreading through the company as it moves from the classic dot-com startup atmosphere to one where they're no longer just inventing and improving a service, but rolling it out to exacting standards. You once stood on a platform, I think, and said, this is the next Google.
I probably said the next Skype. But
You said the next Skype.
I certainly said the next Skype. I think similar to what Skype did in changing telephony, SpinVox is doing in
So
changing.
you stand by that?
I do.
What will make the difference between this product becoming the next Skype and Palookaville?
Delivery. Operational delivery of that experience.
There are two routes out for investors in a startup company: to float it on the stock market or sell it to another bigger company. In business slang, to flip it. In the UK, the stock market for startups is called AIM, and bosses frequently complain that they come under pressure from investors to float on AIM too early. There is a view, isn't there, that the markets don't accurately value companies, that they actually undervalue them.
There is that view today, and I would hold that view. That's right. Yes, I would.
Can you expand on that?
I can, yes. I think today that in the public forums, I think in some cases they're overvaluing, in some cases they're undervaluing what we're seeing, especially in the AIM market. Again, I can only come back to what it is to manage a real business that is alive and thriving. And listing may not be the right thing for the management team. It's time consuming, it's difficult, and sometimes the marketplace doesn't give you a fair value.
For the investors, it's a bit of a white-knuckle ride. If you're planning to flip the company, you have to make sure you do it at the right time and not get left on the shelf.
Christina has chosen to work with private investors because she is a woman on a mission. She has not slowed down even for 6-month due diligence cycles with venture capital. She wants to work with, and I guess I'm as impatient as she is, and some of the people who have backed her have been willing to buy into her, do fairly minimal due diligence, and just they realize that they're backing her in her judgment on the team and the market opportunities.
Who runs the house? I said SpinVox runs the house, and when will SpinVox run the house? You know the rock is 10.
It's June, and they're celebrating the first big rollout of the service.
SpinVox runs the house, you know the rock is 10.
Companies like this live on hype, but what's happening now is much more than hype. New technology is allowing a few visionary people to make their vision a reality.
In 1 year from now, we'll have over 10 million users, for sure.
As opposed to how many now?
140,000. Over 10 million users. We will have already deployed with 12 major network operators globally.
That's in the bag.
That's already done. We support 4 different languages. We will develop 2 more. So you're going to see us developing both Arabic and Italian. An option on every single blog that you get today will be to post via voice. And voice posting, though today unused, will become more and more powerful as people experience the power of speaking something and seeing it appear as text.
Paul Mason reporting there. Let's have